Hey everybody, thanks for coming tonight. We have some Flipgrid fun for everyone, so thanks for joining us. We have Will Navis and Derrick Biehl. So I'm going to tell you some other things that'll be coming up. Thanks for joining us here. The live is great because you can chat with us. The live chat is, if you're on YouTube, you can see the live chat there. If you went in through the IAFERD portal, membership portal, it is in there as well. As a matter of fact, one thing that's great is you can join the IAFERD membership, and there is a free membership option which gets you into there. That lets us contact you a little bit easier. It doesn't matter what state or anything you're in, you can join from anywhere. My name is Bill Casey. I just run a lot of the tech stuff here, but I want to give you a little preview. Next week, we're looking to do social emotional learning. That's going to be with myself and Gary Heilers from Glenbard North High School. So that'll be something that you could tune in for next week. We'll be advertising that after this one. So without any more of me talking, let's let these guys introduce themselves.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Derrick Biehl. And Will, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Will Navis, and we'll get into some more specific introductions in our presentation.
All right. So let's get started. So anytime I teach a lesson, I always like to go through what, why, and how at the start of the lesson. So what are we learning today? Basically, why and how to use Flipgrid to enhance your PE program. We're going to cover a lot of stuff here, and hopefully we can really dive deep into that why.
And then looking at the why are we learning it, we're going to look at how Flipgrid will change the way you teach, whether it's remote or if you're in person. And then of course we'll look at the how will I know I've learned it, and you will leave with ideas of how to use Flipgrid effectively.
All right, so a little bit about myself. Like I said, my name is Derrick Biehl. I am born and raised in Western New York. I'm a big Buffalo Bills fan. Lived out there for 20 plus years, and then moved out here 5 years ago. And this is my fourth year teaching phys ed at Patterson Elementary School in Naperville, Illinois. I teach about 500 students at my school, but I also teach one section at another elementary school in the district. So I guess it'd be about 530 students. It's all going to be remote this year. We finally have our plan set in place, and kids come back September 3rd. And I love to integrate technology. I used Flipgrid a decent amount before COVID happened, and I'm trying to use it a decent amount this year too. I'm planning to use it a lot for remote learning.
And like I said, I'm Will Navis. This is my 18th year teaching PE, for the last 14 as an elementary PE teacher. And this year I'm changing my role. We've got some in-person instruction, but I am my school district's remote PE teacher for all 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade students. So right now we're about 600 students, but we seem to be getting about 5 to 10 more each day. So we'll see how this keeps going. But I am also the IAFERD past president from a few years ago, the 2013 IAFERD Elementary Toy. And I love Flipgrid, Kahoot, Goose Chase, and all things Google. Like Derrick, I love integrating those things into what I do. And I just keep experimenting and trying it and revising it as I go along.
All right, so like we mentioned, both of us used it a little bit before COVID-19. Basically, how I used it was mainly just for skill assessments. So one example I shared out on Twitter a while back was my 4th and 5th graders this year, we did a jump rope routine at the 3rd week of our jump rope unit. So I broke it up. I think I did 1 week at the beginning of the year, another week, middle of the year, and then my 3rd week somewhere probably around February or March. And during their jump rope routine, so basically the first 2 weeks, we practiced different jump rope tricks, and they've been learning tricks since kindergarten all the way up till 4th grade. I put up a rubric up on the screen via Google Slides, just a not yet, almost, got it, and wow. And then I gave them criteria to meet that rubric. So in order to get a got it, I believe they had to have 3 tricks with clear transitions in their routine. So basically, I went over the rubric with them. We've talked about the different tricks that they did. And then while I had the rubric up on the screen, I sent out a Flipgrid topic to everybody and said, hey, according to this rubric, I want you guys by the end of the week to come up with your own jump rope routine and practice it into your camera of your Chromebook. Luckily, before COVID, I was one-to-one with technology for all 2nd through 5th graders. in elementary school, which was really nice. So it was really easy for, I think in the video I had 60 fourth graders for one of my double fourth grade classes. Every kid had their own Chromebook open up in their gym, and they were all just practicing their jump rope routine all week long. And it really gave kids a chance to take ownership of the learning, which was really nice. I was able to just walk around, give feedback, encourage kids, and get to know them, build those connections. And it worked out perfectly. Later, I just went through, checked the jump rope routines, checked to see if they had three tricks with clear transitions, so on and so forth. And it was really easy to implement, and the kids loved it. I also did it with a dance routine. So my fifth graders, I started doing a couple years ago that they would create their own dance. So in past years, I had them do the dance, and like they pick their own groups, they pick their song, and basically I give them 2 weeks to come up with a dance routine because we were learning dance moves all the way up through till fifth grade. And I assigned it this year via Flipgrid because before I used to have them perform it kind of like Dancing with the Stars, and I would invite the principal down or their classroom teacher, and they would perform their dance in front of the rest of the class. And a lot of them would get kind of nervous about it. And I thought, how can I make them not so nervous about performing in front of their peers? So Flipgrid was a really easy way to do that. So that way they were only turning in their videos to me. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the presentation too. And I also used it for classroom PE. So like many of you, I'm sure you would get kicked out of your gym every now and then for certain assemblies or whatever's going on in the school. And I would do Flipgrid assignments in the classroom, not so much PE related, just social emotional related. And I actually found a really cool lesson called How the Good Spreads on Flipgrid through their, I believe it was called Disco Library at the time, but now it's called Discovery, and where you can find different Flipgrid ideas and lessons, and basically just sent this out to students and said, hey, how can we spread the good? And I had them videotape themselves doing an act of kindness for somebody else during our class.
And kind of similar to Derrick, I've been using it for gymnastics and for dance. I started using Flipgrid probably about 3 years ago now, 2 or 3 years ago. And it started with my gymnastics unit because I was trying to figure out a better way to do their assessment. And I had a great checklist that a colleague of mine helped develop with me. I certainly can't take full credit for that. But the way that my assessment was running was students were waiting a long time for me to be able to watch them. I'm the only PE teacher in my building, and so when I've got a class, I can assess or I can help them with a skill, but I can't do both at the same time. And Flipgrid kind of answered that problem where the students would record themselves performing the various gymnastic skills. And that helped speed things up a lot. It allowed students to have some choice with how they wanted to progress through the assessment. They could focus on one of the balance skills on the balance beam, but then if they were struggling with one of the weight transfer skills, then they could spend a few extra times practicing that before they were uploading the skill. And so that worked out really well. And then last year, right before the COVID shutdown, I was able to do my creative dance unit, and I added that. And very similar to Derrick's, the students would be in small groups and they would choose their own music, and then they would record themselves with that. And that actually helped me out too, because in years past, I had my little clipboard and my checklist, and I would look down at the checklist while they were performing, and then I would look up and like, oh, I wonder what I missed. And with Flipgrid, the whole performance was right there. I could pause if I needed to. I could watch it a second time if I needed to, and that helped out tremendously. And then this year, I'm sorry, not this year, last school year before the COVID shutdown, I started doing exit slips and check-ins because I was trying to figure out a way where I could get a quick student check-in with how they felt with being comfortable with a particular skill or some knowledge in like a nutrition unit or body systems unit. And I didn't really want to take up our time in PE because, as we all know, however much time you have, it can really start to fly by. And if you are lucky enough to have one-to-one Chromebooks, it's awesome, or one-to-one devices. But some people don't. Maybe you've got 5 iPads that you can have. And so you got to think about be creative with how you use it. And what I had them do is I actually had them do these exit slips or check-ins outside of PE time. And that seemed to help. And I didn't give like a hard, fast, like due date when I needed them, except for, like before the end of the week. So that way I could plan for the following week. And certainly there were some students who would forget or just not do it, but I certainly got more information this way than I had before.
All right, so after COVID-19, I'm personally, my kids come back September 3rd. So to be 100% honest, I don't have all my curriculum planned out. I'm still trying to figure it out, but I do have some ideas of how I really want to use Flipgrid for a lot of their asynchronous assignments as well. So I guess I should explain how I teach. So this upcoming school year, I'm going to be teaching one live PE class through Zoom, 30 minutes a week to every class. And I'll also be teaching one 30-minute asynchronous class to each class for 30 minutes a week. So we're calling that our independent lesson. So I plan on using Flipgrid to post topics for different discussions related to our curriculum. So maybe if I have an independent class before a live class, I might use Flipgrid to give them a little pre-assessment and be like, all right, what do you know about this skill? What level are you already at? And I could give them a rubric and have them record themselves doing a skill at home and see what level they're already at before we go through that lesson. That way I can change the lesson and tailor it to those students. I also kind of want to do some more skill assessments via Flipgrid, but I'm still toying around with that. And then one idea I had is I might do some sort of fitness journal during our personal fitness unit this year and have students reflect on their growth of their like personal fitness throughout that unit via Flipgrid, maybe a 1-week reflection. And I would just assign those Flipgrid topics into Google Classroom, which we'll talk about a little bit later.
And then with face-to-face, if that's how you'll be teaching this year, some possibilities for you to consider would be to have students perform a skill or routine based upon a rubric, very similar to what Derrick and I were talking about with our gymnastics or our dance units and how we did that. You could also have students collaborate to create and explain how to create a game. And this is, again, a great way to incorporate student choice, where they are designing based upon criteria that you've already put forth, whether it's an invasion type game or a cooperative game, having the students create that game and then explain to you how the game works. And before I continue, I also want to say that I have started instruction. We started last week, Wednesday. And just like Derrick, I am also doing 30 minutes asynchronous and 30 minutes synchronous per week. And even though I'm a week in, I'm still adjusting as I go. And I think we're probably all going to be kind of in that boat this year. And then going back to how face-to-face can work, you can have students reflect on a discussion prompt or taking a look at the growth of their physical literacy and doing kind of an open-ended response. All right, so we're going to talk about the basics, and we're going to talk about how to get actually into Flipgrid, how you can set up your own account, and we are going to go step by step. And so again, if you're watching this live and are taking notes, great. If you're watching this later, feel free to pause the video and go along with us here. So when you go to the Flipgrid website and you get to this screen, the first thing you're going to want to do is educator sign up. And I think educator sign up right there. I believe we're going to do educator login, right, Derrick?
Correct. Yeah.
Since both Derrick and I are already in. So when that is clicked, it's going to take you to your screen right over here. And it gives you a nice little welcome sign, which is always a great thing to do. And we're going to start off by creating a topic here.
So before we create a topic, I just want to mention the dashboard here. You want to talk about it?
About the dashboard, yes. So a couple of these things Derrick has kind of already mentioned. He mentioned Discovery, which used to be called, remind me again?
Disco, I believe it was Disco Library.
Right, Disco Library. So now it's Discovery, and it has a whole bunch of videos of topics that you can post, kind of pre-made. It's a wealth of information. And then under activity, you can kind of keep track of your achievements. Flipgrid likes to send you badges once you've had like 24 hours worth of views or 500 posted comments, things like that. And that's kind of fun to keep track of. And then for mixtapes, these are things that you can put together based upon your student responses. So for example, if you've got your gymnastics unit going on and you want to compile some videos of your students performing the same skill, you can create that in the mixtapes here. And for the shorts, I believe these are videos that you create for yourself. Is that right, Derrick?
Yeah, so this is kind of like Flipgrid's version of video editing software where you can record your own video and make small clips in it. I haven't explored too much into this. We'll basically be covering a lot of the discussion today.
Right. And then Grid Pals is something that was started last year by them. And this is a way for you to connect with other Flipgrid classrooms across, I believe, the world. And this is not something that I've done much exploring with. I'm still just diving deep into how I can use it best with my students. I think this might be something better for like classroom when they're working on community and working on like how the world interacts. But it's certainly worth exploring if you want to get to that point. Like Derrick said, we're going to spend most of our time on the discussion tab, which is where the students will be actually responding to different topics. So we're going to start by creating a group, and there's a lot of different ways that you can organize this. I think both Derrick and I have it organized with one group per class. And the way I organize it is simply based upon how my school organizes the classroom teachers. And so like, if I have a Mr. Smith who teaches 3rd grade, for me, that would be 3S. Simple as that. And I know however you might have your classes organized, that's how I'd recommend. Simply, it keeps track for you. But then also when the students are accessing it, they can kind of feel connected that way. And so you can see Derrick typed in 3S and PE, again, to kind of keep track of that. You also notice that right above it, the word private is highlighted. We strongly recommend that you keep your groups private. If it's public, then it's possible for other people to join it. If you really want to just kind of keep it to your students, definitely keep it to private. Underneath that is the join code, and Flipgrid will automatically populate that for you, but you can change it if you want to. If you want to change it to the exact group name, if you want to change it to something that you can keep track of, that's great, but there's ways to share that out as well. So for me personally, I just kind of leave whatever Flipgrid has updated it or populated it as. Now this add students is kind of a very important step. Both of us recommend that you use the student email option. And that way, when the students are accessing the link or accessing the Flipgrid group, it will only recognize if the email address is in a part that you have allowed. So once you click student email, then you're going to click on next. And this is where you would add the email addresses that would be allowed. So for example, in my district, ours ends with @students.d303.org. And I think Derrick's going to type in his school district, the Indian School Prairie District one there.
So for our school district, it's k12.ipsd.org. And then also I would want to type in so I can join, since I'm on my personal account here, I would want to type in so I can join on my school account. So my email is Derrick_Biehl.ipsd.org. So ipsd.org. And then those two should populate up.
Yeah, and again, this is how you can make sure that it's only your students who are joining and anyone else that you feel should be in the Flipgrid group. So then we click next. And this is the direct link to that Flipgrid group you just created. And you can see underneath it that there's different ways to share it. You can share it on Remind if you're using that, which is a text-based app, if I remember correctly. There's Google Classroom, which is the green icon. That's what I use, and I believe that's what Derrick uses as well to kind of organize the PE classes. And then there's a few others. You can copy the link directly if you have a district website or a PE website that you use, you can copy it there. And I believe we're gonna, yeah. So thank you, Derrick. So when you click Share to Classroom, it gives you a drop down. Once you click on Go to Classroom, it's gonna give you a drop down of all the Google Classrooms that you are in charge of.
And Will, I apologize. I'm on my personal computer here, so I don't have any classrooms on my personal email account. But if you did, a little icon would pop up here and a drop down arrow would happen. You would click it and you would be allowed to share that link to a specific grade level class that you've created.
And that's a very nice feature because then you don't have to just try and edit, copy, paste. It'll do it for you. So then when you click Go to Group, It'll bring you right to the group you just created. You can see 3SPE. And Derrick, you're going to talk about how to edit the group, right?
Yeah. So just to show you how we got here from the home page or the dashboard here. So if you go back here to the top, when you sign in, you'll always be prompted to this discussion section. So here I can see my group is right here, 3SPE. I can see it's private. There's 0 topics, no responses yet. It was updated today. I can also see it's active here. I could hide it if I choose to. If I need to, sorry about that, let me go back. If I need to hit the share button here and share this group out to Google Classroom, I can do that from right here. Same thing we just did before. And then there's actions here. It allows you to basically edit it right now. I could add co-pilots as like a co-teacher. So maybe you want to add your adapted PE teacher to your classroom. That's also okay. I could duplicate the group. That's a really cool feature. So once I went through all those settings, I could duplicate this for my other class, maybe 3MPE or so on and so forth. Play with the notifications, Teams integrations. That's if you're Microsoft. I can even download the data, or I can delete the group. So we're going to edit the group here and just show you the different features you can do for your group. So under edit group, I can go around and play with all the stuff that Will and I were just talking about. So in here, I could change the group name, join code. I could also add more emails on here if I would like to do that. I could switch it to public, add a student username. This guest password here, this basically allows, if you click it on, you could come up with your own password that if families had the link to your Flipgrid group, they could then join in too. So for example, for field day, I wanted to open it up because I didn't have K1 who had Chromebooks. I want to make sure it's open to everybody. So I turned on the guest password thing and I put a little password set to it. So that way family members could join in and be a part of the Flipgrid as well. That way kindergarten and first grade could be a part of that. And we'll talk about how we use this for field day too. Really awesome feature of it, but we're going to turn that off for now because it's just specifically for our third grade class. Like I said, there is a status feature here. You can make your class active, or I'm sorry, your group active, or you could hide it. Maybe I don't want to activate this until, for me, the school start date is September 3rd with students, so maybe I want to hide it until that day. Group followers, to be honest, I don't know too much about that, but I always leave it off. I've never had any issues with it. And then here, this is kind of a fun feature. You can create your own banner, and you can just create it maybe in Google Slides or Canva and play around with that and upload it here. Or Flipgrid does have a bunch of themes that they've already put together, kind of similar to how Google Classroom has that. So we're just going to change the themes. Let's see, I'm very type A, so third grade for me is the color orange. So I'm just going to find an orange color here, and that's going to be our theme. So that way all my students know. Orange enough, that's all right, we'll take it. So right there, I can see that's updated. That's the picture I'll see. So all my third grade classes will be that same color. So it's easy for me to be organized and see that stuff. So we're going to update group. And then at this point here, now we have that group and we're going to create a topic. So let's
actually, see. Derrick, if you can pause for a second and go back to the edit group where yep. For actions. Right, I think it's like the third or fourth one down for a duplicate group.
Yes, good call.
That is a huge thing because I have 20 remote classes right now, and if I didn't duplicate, I would be spending probably hours creating it. And when you duplicate a group, it will copy everything over. You can, I believe, even have it duplicate any topics any topics you've already created. But what's great again is it duplicates everything. The only thing that you would then need to change, as you can see, it says duplicate 3SPE. So you would just edit that name to 3FPE or whatever your next third grade classroom is. So I want to make sure that our viewers got to see that too.
That's a great point. Yeah, and that really is a huge time saver. So definitely take advantage of that feature. We're going to delete it for right now, just for presentation's sake. All right, so let's see. So now we're just gonna create a topic. So groups, Will and I both do, we create a group for each class. So I think I have about 20 sections. So I would create a group for every section that I have. So 3 for third grade, 3 for fourth grade, so on and so forth. but we're going to create a topic, and their topics are kind of like questions that you would pose or assignments that you would pose in here.
So yeah, so when Derrick clicked on create topic, then we get to this wonderful screen. And the first thing you need to do is add your title. And we're just going to go real simple. We're just going to say like test question for PE. But I would have, like for my gymnastics one, I would have like weight transfer skill number 1, weight transfer skill number 2, balance beam skill number 1, things like that. And then you do need to have a prompt, and this is what you want your students to respond to. And for this one, we're just going to simply put something like, tell us what you enjoy about PE. For my gymnastics skills, I would have something like, for your weight transfer skill, please make sure that you are starting in one body position, transferring weight to another body position, returning to another body position. Here are some examples. I might include on the balance beam skills, make sure that you're holding your balance for 7 seconds or 5 seconds, whatever it is for that particular grade level. So that's where you would give them the specific information. Recording time, I believe it now defaults to 1:30. It used to default to 15 seconds, but I think it now defaults to 1:30. And this is how long you want the students to be allowed to record. Now they don't need to use all that time, but it will automatically shut off at that time. And so for like my gymnastic skills, I usually gave them 15 seconds. I didn't need them recording for a long time. If you're doing an open-ended response, like what do you enjoy about PE, you might want to have it be 3 minutes or 5 minutes or 1.5 minutes, and you want to do some thinking about that. But we're just going to leave it at 1.5 minutes right now. I've never used closed captions, but I suppose that's something that if you wanted to do, you could certainly explore. Video moderation is something that I started to explore a little bit with this past year. If you turn that on, what that means is that no one will see the videos except the teacher until you unmoderate it. Hold on, sorry guys.
Did you order it?
No, sorry, no. No, I was on hold.
So this
Sorry,
portion,
we had a health problem with one of our sons, so I apologize for that. So the video moderation, like I said, if you do that, you can only the teacher sees it until you choose on the response screen to unmoderate it, and then it allows other students to see their video. For the media, we'll talk more about this when we get to our field day talk and how we use it for field day. But basically this allows you to put additional things with your directions to help the students. So you could add a video of yourself, you could add an emoji, you could add a GIF, all sorts of different options that you could add. For most things, I don't use this at all. I did use it for field day, I know Derrick did as well. For the access control, we just leave this off. We're not exactly sure what it does. If you want to find out for us and let us know, that'd be great.
I believe that a little bit to do with creating that guest password. Although, like Will said, him and I have not explored this yet. It's not something we really need to go into.
And then once you're done with all that, you can click on more options. And this allows you to add topic attachments. You could add links to it. Again, you can change the title of those attachments as well. Again, you can use that to prompt student thinking if you want them to go watch a video first before you have them respond, whether it's like a brain pop video, a YouTube video, whatever it might be. You can add that there. The topic status, you can have it active, you can have it hidden, you can have it frozen. And I did use this with my field day because I wanted to have it, oh, I'm sorry, that's more for the scheduling. I apologize, so I got ahead of myself. But you can hide the topic until you're ready to show it. You can freeze it so it's still visible, but no one can access it. For the scheduling, as I said, I did use that for my field day. I only wanted the students to have access to it for 1 week. So I had it open from Monday morning till Friday afternoon, the week of when we would have had field day. But you could do that for any of your skills, any of your units. I did not use that for gymnastics. I just came back in and I turned off the topic when we were done with it. And then for notifications, you can have it set to send you notifications when students have loaded their responses. You can set it daily, weekly, every new video, never. I typically just leave it as daily for myself, but now being here remote with all the notifications I'm getting from all over the place, I might be switching that to never. We recommend that you turn off download and share unless, I mean, that allows students to download videos of themselves and of others, and that's probably a can of worms you don't really want to open. Topic followers, I leave that off as well. Again, it goes back to if you've had guests, but again, it's kind of up to you. For video features, you can allow students to add filters or stickers or other kind of decorations on their videos and on their selfies. I typically just leave that alone because I'm trying just to create things quickly. But if you want to make sure that the students can't put like a cat face over their head, you can turn that to be off. You can turn off or on video editing. We recommend that you leave it on. They can shorten the video if they didn't turn off the recording quickly, then they can go back and edit down the video if they need to. And it also allows them to take multiple clips of a video response and then kind of stitch those together. For video comments, you can allow students to reply to each other. That's up to you. I usually just leave these things on unless I know that it's becoming an issue, but you can leave that on or off. For the attached link, you can allow students to include a link. If so, for example, if you had them do a response on maybe a health topic question and you wanted them to link the source that they used, you could have them do that. Or maybe you had them do a representation of my plate in Google Drawings and you wanted them to link that to their Flipgrid response. For view count, Derek and I were actually talking about this earlier. I leave it on because it allows me as I go through to see if I have seen the video or not. Derek has it usually turned off because he doesn't want students to compare who's got more views and who's got less views. So neither one's right, neither one's wrong. It's your personal preference and what you think is more valuable. You can have students like videos. I do have that one off for the kind of the same reason that Derek was doesn't use the view count, and I don't want students to kind of compare who got more likes or not. For sticky notes, Derek was actually explaining this to me earlier. This allows students to kind of put notes up for themselves so that when they're recording, they can hit all the points they wanted to talk about. And when the teacher, yourself, views the video, you don't see the sticky notes. So it kind of allows them to feel a little more comfortable in an open response question. Below that, we have feedback, and you can do basic or custom. I usually just leave it as basic. It seems to be everything that I need. And you can kind of modify that and adjust that if you need to. Once you're done going through these additional changes to the topic, you can click create topic and it will load it up in your group for you. And then that code that pops up is the direct link to that topic. So earlier we created a link for the Flipgrid group. This is a link for that Flipgrid topic.
So similar how we were talking here through Google Classrooms, I could click here and choose my classroom that I have. I don't have any because I'm on my personal email account, but it's the same for Microsoft Teams. If you're a Microsoft district and you use Microsoft Teams, you click that, it would ask you to sign into your Teams account, and you could share out that topic through Teams as well. Again, I don't use Teams, so I'm not too familiar with it, but I believe it's the same as Google Classroom, and you can just share it out through that icon. So once you're all done here, you can see, underneath 3SPE, we can see we have a topic, the test question. And again, just to show you where we came from with this, if I go back to discussion, this is like my home page here. I can see 3SPE. I can see there's still 0 responses. Under 3SPE, we have one topic, and it's this test question here. When you're under 3SPE, you can also see students. So you can see what students you have logged in under your account. Right now, I'm the only one logged in under this account, so I'm the only student. Once students click on your join code, they will then join under the students here, and they will kind of populate as they join. But we're going to go back into the slideshow here, and kind of show you what it looks like from a student perspective now. So, or actually, Will's going to cover how he's using it for Google Classroom, how he's introducing it.
So yeah, so like I said, I've been with my students now for about a week, and we're doing a couple just tech tools and tech tips to kind of help our students get adjusted. And next week, I'm introducing Flipgrid to my students. And so this is my test PE classroom right here that I play around with every year to see how the new features work out and see how I want to integrate, and also for presentations, so you guys can see how I kind of do this. And what I always recommend to the students is that when they get into the Google Classroom is to always click on the classwork tab at the top, because if you click on the stream, everything is listed there. But then the problem with the stream is that it sometimes can get a little bit unorganized. So I always recommend to the students that they go to the classwork tab at the top. And yeah, and the great thing about the classwork is it's a little bit more organized, especially if you're using topics. And we're not going to go into all that tonight. This is not a Google Classroom presentation, but if you guys are curious, contact myself or Derrick, and we'll be more than happy to help you out. But I had already included, I took the link when I created my test Flipgrid group, and I linked it directly into Classroom. And so when the students click on Flipgrid link, it will kind of open up, and then there's the link right there. Students will click on it, and it'll bring them directly to the Flipgrid group that was created. Now, as I go through the school year, I will be linking the direct topics, because I don't need them to go to the group and then the topic. I'm trying to eliminate as many clicks as possible for the students. And so as the school year progresses, I will be linking the topic directly, but I want for this first time for the students to go to the group itself and see how that works. And what they'll do is they'll be able to record a response, and they can click there or on that big button there. You can see I was testing out earlier today, and there's my selfie from that picture. And you can see some of my boys are coming in here to say goodnight. Good night, boys. I love you guys. This is life doing remote, right? So I believe Derrick's going to show the student view from recording a response, correct?
Yeah, so a student would simply go into the topic, click on this big red button here, or this record a response button here. And when you click it, it's going to come up and use your webcam, or use the student's webcam on their Chromebook or whatever device they have. And it's going to say step 1 of 4, record. You have 1 minute and 30 seconds because that's what we said on this. Click anywhere to dismiss this. So the cool part about this is there's a couple features here. So right here, there's options. So if you click on options, and then under options, there's upload clip, mirror video. There's audio here. You can turn off your audio. Another really cool feature is you can record your screen. So you could actually do a screen share or a screen recording video of how you want to navigate Google Classroom or something like that. And you could do it through Flipgrid and send that topic out to view for your students as well, which is a neat little hack that I used in the spring, because our school district blocks YouTube. So you're not allowed to watch anything through Screencastify, because they use the same platform that YouTube uses. So our district ended up blocking that for elementary schoolers. There's also effects here. So effects, Will mentioned earlier that students can add little frames or filters. So if I click on filters here, I got a bunch of different filters here. I can go black and white. I could do this pretty green color. I could pixelate it. It's whatever your students decide. And you can edit this in your topic when you set it up. Maybe you don't want the filters to be on for their video. And then once they hit record, actually under effects, there's also frames. One of the new ones that I think is really neat is the breaking news frame. I think it's really catchy and it looks really crisp. There's also simple things like having a whiteboard up here, adding text, emojis, you can draw, you can add photos. The whiteboard feature is really neat, especially if you're a teacher and recording a video, because you can choose what whiteboard goes up if you just want a regular one. Now, the cool feature about it is you can split screen with the whiteboard. So if I click on this little circle here and I drag it, I could then have this section of my camera, and I could add text to that. So for example, we did a meet and greet video for our families through Flipgrid where teachers would record themselves. And I added some text over here on the side and just said, Mr. Biehl, physical education. Let's make that a little bit easier to see for families. All right, and then while I was recording, I put this up here in this white little text box, which was nice because it told them that not only they're hearing me talk, they can see Mr. Biehl. He does PE, that's who he is. Cool. So anyways, I could record a video here in a response. It's going to count down. And I'm just going to simply wave hi. And then I would end my video, or I just paused it there. So if I want to record more, I can. But when I'm all done, I would hit next. And then it allows you to edit your video. Wave hi. So we're going to pause that so it's not going to play all the way through. But kids can now edit this video here. They can trim it. Maybe I want to cut it a little bit short. I would just click and drag. All right, I'm struggling. Oh, you got to double click it. And I'm just going to simply wave. So I can click and drag and decide where I want it to start from. I can have it start at the beginning. I can have it start halfway through. You can also do that with the end of it too. But when you're all done, you hit this confirm button. And if you don't like it, you can just delete the clip, but confirm. And it's going to ask you to review it one more time. Hit next. It's going to ask you to take a selfie. So this would just be a selfie you take to record yourself. And I could also add stickers and effects to this as well. But I'm just going to hit next. We're going to move on to it. And then that should pop up under Will's topic for his test classroom. So it's going to ask for a display name here. So I'm just going to put Mr. Biehl. And by the way, pro tip, my first time introducing Flipgrid to my students, I did not create a sample video for how I wanted the students to respond. I learned the hard way from that by getting tours of kids' like bedrooms and simple things like that, or just kid 30 seconds telling me about his favorite food. Make sure when you first send out your very first topic, always record yourself and give an example of what you want to see in that response. But yeah, that's basically what the students see for their topics. You can see we got 2 responses here, me and Will. We're going to go on to the next portion.
Actually, Derrick, if you go back to that for just a second, I just want to highlight something.
Of course.
If you notice on my video, there's like a green thumbtack type thing. If you're curious about what that is, I recorded about a 4-minute screencastify explaining how to give feedback to students through Flipgrid. We decided not to do that through here. It was just going to be kind of too complicated for you guys to see how that works, but that will be on our resources page at the end. So if you're curious why that's there.
All right. So like Will and I said, we both used Flipgrid for field day this past spring. And honestly, I'm only speaking for myself. I'm assuming Will's in the same boat. It was a huge hit. It was awesome. Kids loved it. I normally do field days and I have them like themed. So this year's or last year's field day was supposed to be, I'm trying to think now, around the world. But I thought doing that virtually would be kind of tough. So I was like, well, let's do a Flipgrid field day this year. And what I ended up doing is I created this big Google document here where I just put some simple rules, be safe, try your best, and then make sure to have it turn, or it's going to open May 22nd. It'll go till May 26th. And in each of these little links here, I recorded a video of myself doing a minute-to-win-it challenge that I found on Twitter. A lot of them were a lot of Mike Morris's minute-to-win-it challenge. Shout out to Mike Morris for all the awesome ideas for that. That was great. But I recorded a video of myself doing that challenge in iMovie, and I put up a little timer. And then I uploaded that video under the media section of the topic in Flipgrid. Kids watched that video, and they recorded themselves doing that exact same challenge. When they're done, they would simply go down here, click a link where I use autocrat feature, and Becky Fulmer helped me out with this. That if they click the link when they're done, they type in their name and their email address, and certificate would pop up saying that they completed Flipgrid Field Day 2020, and they would be able to save that to their Google Drive or print it out. But we're actually going to get in here and check it out for ourselves. So right now I'm logged in under, I believe it's Will's account. So I'm just going to log out and log in under my school account here. So, and by the way, when you first create your Flipgrid account, it's going to ask you to log in through Microsoft or Google. So I have a Google account, so I'm just going to log in through that under my school account here. And so you'll see I have a couple different groups here. I still have groups from last year. I have a group set aside for screen recording. I have my field day group here where I have a little over 1,600 responses. You can see it's hidden because field day ended on May 26th, so I hid all those videos. We're going to click on it and check it out. So I added my own custom banner. I made one to fit my theme for Flipgrid Field Day. I just used Google Slides for that. But you can see I have a bunch of topics here. So I had 10 topics. Those are 10 different challenges for Flipgrid Field Day. And you can see there's a picture of each topic there, or a picture of each challenge. We're just gonna simply watch one of the spatula flipper ones. So this was a minute to win it challenge where basically students would have a spatula or their hand and a piece of toilet paper. They do 3 sumo squats, and then they would earn 3 spatula flips, and they would see how many they can get in 1 minute. So here I uploaded a video of my iMovie that I made for this challenge, and students could actually click on this. We'll click on it and we'll just watch a couple seconds of it, and they would watch me doing that challenge in iMovie, and there's a timer up in the corner, and they would try and beat my score for it. Time for a little spatula flip. What you're going to need for this is a roll of toilet paper and a spatula. You don't have a spatula. We're not going to watch all of it, but basically you get the gist of it. They try to do 3 sumo squats, and then with those 3 sumo squats, they do 3 spatula flips. They watched it, checked out to see what to do, and then I have a bunch of different student responses here. It was really cool, especially for field day. Sometimes I had not just students do it, but I had their family members do it as well. So I had a couple students who did it as like a family challenge, which was really neat. And at the end, they saw who had the best score overall, and they did a little competition out of it. But it was a lot of engagement through here, and it was really easy to use for it. And I was super happy with the way it went, and it was cool just to see that I had that much engagement. You can see I had 181 video responses specifically for this challenge, and overall over 1,600 responses to this, which was more than I was hoping for, which was really great. Highly suggest if you are doing a virtual field day this year, Flipgrid would be a great avenue to go with that. And then lastly, we just have some resources here. Just if you want to dive a little bit deeper in some of this stuff, Will, you want to talk about your leaving feedback video here?
Yeah, so that was the video I was referring to. It's about a 4-minute long screencastify that just kind of talks about how to leave feedback. When I started Flipgrid, like I said, a few years ago with my gymnastics skills, I struggled with how to get the feedback to the students and say, hey, good job, you passed the skill. Because I didn't want to just shout across the gym when students are trying to record their videos. And Flipgrid used to have something where it was called feature. And you would click on, it was like a little star icon next to the video, and you would click on that. And on my screen, it would then just kind of highlight that response for me. But for the students, they would get a notification that their video was featured. And it didn't really mean anything, but it was, I told the students, that's how I'm going to communicate to you that your skill has met the criteria. And it has worked really well. This year, in one of the many amazing updates that Flipgrid has put in, is they got rid of that feature and changed it to pin. And so that's what that green pin was when you saw on my video. You'll see that in the leaving feedback on Flipgrid responses, screencastify. And then I also kind of talk about why I feel it's important to leave that feedback for students.
Yeah, and I do want to mention, we're not going to watch all of these links here. The top row is just links. I'm a very visual learner, so I put a bunch of YouTube links if you want to dive a little bit deeper into these topics. So if you just click on this, it takes you to a video for Will. Click on any of these, it takes you to videos for those specific columns. And then the bottom part is just, if you're not a visual learner and you'd rather read about it, it's just Flipgrid has their own blog, and they kind of dive a little bit deeper into all these topics as well. This resources page will be a PDF, and it will be put up into the YouTube comments once this video is done doing its live session. So you can click it there. And also you can reach out to Will or I if you have any questions. We're happy to help. And you can contact us here. So like I said, my name is Derrick Biehl. My Twitter handle is @MrBealsPE. My email address, and that's my personal email address there, just derrick.beal@gmail.com. I'm on Twitter quite a bit. Feel free to shout me out there or give me a quick DM. Or if you don't want to do that, you're not on Twitter, you can just email me directly here. I'm happy to help. And also, one side note, if you're not on Twitter, highly recommend you get on Twitter. Goldmine for resources and ideas and collaboration with other teachers.
Yeah, and then my contact information is there too. Twitter is at Navis_PE, and my email is my email for IAFord. You can contact me with my school email address too, which is william.navis@d303.org. Either one is fine. Whenever I do presentations, I always just give my IAFord one out. And yeah, like Derrick, I am always happy to help with any questions you have. If you saw something about what we were doing with Classroom, you got questions about Google Classroom, contact us and we can walk you through any process through there. We both love Flipgrid. I hope that was obvious. And I do want to give a shout out to Derrick, because I was tasked with about 1 week before field day to do a digital field day. And I reached out to Derrick and I said, hey, I saw your template. Can I borrow that? And of course, Derrick said yes. And then I made it my own. On that field day screen that we had up in the slides, that was my special banner that I had created, the field day at home edition. But yeah, I used this template. And so we are always happy to help out with anything that you might need. And if we can't help you out, we will find someone that can help you out.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Bill, for hosting us here, and hopefully we can help some people out.
Yeah, I think you did. You'll see the comments, a lot of good praise for what you guys did. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. The comments usually take about 24 hours to post. If you do have any other questions, just look at how you could get a hold of Derrick and Will right here on the page. This video will be up on the YouTube site and within the membership portal sometime tonight as well. Thanks again, everybody. Hopefully we'll see some of you next week for a social emotional learning presentation, how we could do social emotional learning remotely in PE and health. Good night, everyone. All right.